Jack.
Yes.
What's your favorite thing you've ever seen an award show do?
End. Sorry.
I mean, asked and answered. That's fair.
Not personally a fan of them.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, is there any particular time that an award show has done something that you thought like, oh, okay, so surprisingly not as shitty as I thought it was going to be?
Well, there's a famous moment from the Oscars where somebody stood in to accept Brando's award.
Oh yeah,
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. She also got like threatened by John Wayne.
Yeah, that's my favorite part. Is they had to hold old man John Wayne back.
What an asshole.
Yeah, what an asshole. Aside from that, I used to really enjoy the Nickelodeon. What were they?
The Kids' Choice Awards.
The Kids' Choice Awards.
Yeah.
I used to love that shit as a child.
Oh yeah, it was just fun watching celebrities get covered in slime. Yeah, it's fun. It's fantastic.
There's also a clip from the MTV Awards where who is it in Nirvana that like whipped his guitar up in the air and got smacked in the face?
That feels like it would have been Kurt Cobain.
It might have been Kurt.
Unless it was, unless it was,
maybe it might have been the bass.
It might have been the bass, unless in that case it was Chris Novoselic. I think
it might have been him.
I don't remember this.
God,
huh?
I mean,
yeah, that would be a hell of a thing to see.
Definitely a thing I've seen like a clip in post because that would have been early '90s. I would not have given him shit.
Yeah, that would have been.
I was still watching Nickelodeon's Kids' Choice Awards.
Exactly. Yeah. There was a point. I think one of my favorite things I've ever seen at an award show was. I think it was actually the MTV Movie Awards, if I remember correctly. And I forget what movie he was nominated for, but he won for Best Actor, Jim Carrey.
Okay.
And no one really knew where he was because he was sitting in the very front row and he looked like the filthiest like hippie pulled right out of the 1970s. Like ex-Vietnam vet turned leftist, like just hanging out, giant beard, huge hair. No one knew it was him. Or at least very few people knew it was him because he got up to accept the award and people were like, what the fuck? And then he gets up there and starts ranting about how the network should play more Foghat.
What movie was that?
I can't remember what movie it was. The outfit had nothing to do with the movie. It was he just did this.
I thought you were going to say, and I think this was Jim Carrey. I could be wrong. There was an award where Chris Isaac and I think Cameron Diaz were presenting, and Chris Isaac like forces a kiss on her. So when Jim Carrey goes up to accept the award, he makes sure to give a big old smooch to Chris Isaac, who is not enjoying it. Am I mixing up my stories?
That may have been a thing that had happened, and I would fully believe that it was Jim Carrey that did that. I have no recollection of that.
I'll have to dig it up later. I am interested to see where this banter's going, though.
Well, it's not going to be immediately clear, but it is actually relevant to what we're talking about today. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to DeRazzled, the podcast where we take award-winning worst films and fix them. I am your host, Joe Nealis, and with me, as always, is also host Jack Culbertson.
Hey.
Today, is a most auspicious occasion for us because we are discussing, which as of this recording, yesterday's 43rd Annual Golden Raspberry Awards.
As the rest of Hollywood is preparing for the Oscars tonight.
Which is like literally just about to start.
Right.
God, I'm not going to lie. I really hope I make it home in time to watch the performance of Natu Natu from RRR.
I like I said at the beginning of this, I don't normally care about awards shows, but this one actually could be fun. Like I actually care a lot about a number of the movies tonight.
I want to see the Batman win as much as it can. I want to see Everything Everywhere All at Once win everything. Yeah. I want to see Natu Natu. I just
tell them what Deacon said.
Oh yeah. We actually we just saw, thanks to Discussing Film on Twitter, Roger Deakins in an interview said that that the Batman was the most gorgeous cinematography of 2022, and the only reason it wasn't nominated for that is snobbery. Which, hell yeah, if Roger fucking Deakins is calling y'all out for not nominating a superhero film,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I love that so much.
It was a win for nerds everywhere.
It seriously was. Holy shit! I've never been happier about somebody's gripe with a nomination before.
Roger Deakins is a fairly well-known DP.
Arguably one of the most well-known DPs of or most well-known cinematographers of this current age.
Yeah.
Like he has shot some of the most gorgeous and highly acclaimed films of the past 20 years or more.
More even, yeah.
Yeah. What a guy.
What a guy.
You love to see it. Jack, let's get on into these Razzies here.
Let's do that. This is the 43rd?
43rd annual Golden Raspberries. God, I can't believe they've gone this long. So I'm going to go in reverse order of what they have listed on the Razzies website here. Okay. Much like our Razzie nominations episodes, we try to go into this as blind as we possibly can so that we can give you our real reactions. I'm going to be real with you. I had the entire fucking thing spoiled for me yesterday over breakfast. Because Google doesn't understand how to structure search results in such a way that isn't just throwing spoilers in your face. It's a pretty presentation of how they throw it in your face, but it's still thrown into your face.
I think I made it mostly here spoiler free.
You told me that you knew two things, which was that Pinocchio won something and that Morbius didn't win something. So which good. You know so little that we should get some good reactions from you at least.
Colin Farrell won something positive, so I'm assuming the Redeemer.
We'll get there. Yeah. We'll talk about that. Actually, you know what? I'm going to start there.
Great.
So that's not the bottom of the list here, but I am going to start there. You're absolutely correct. Colin Farrell was given the Razzie Redeemer Award this year for his just fantastic performance in The Banshees of Inisherin, which, I get it.
He's been
also arguably his performance as the Penguin in the Batman, I think, is also deserving. I thought he was fucking great in that.
Right around the time, and in Bruges is kind of old at this point.
Yeah, it's been around for a while. I still haven't seen it, but
it's fantastic.
Yeah, I need to fix that.
Same director.
Yeah,
but I think that I saw him in that, and I was like, oh, he can act. Okay, all right,
and he proves it yet again. Again and again and again.
Yeah.
He proved it in Inisherin without a shadow of a doubt. His performance is fucking amazing.
Yeah. Depressing as hell.
Yeah, that movie, it is... the concept of what counts as a comedy is so wild to me. Because that movie is nominated and everything as a comedy, and it's so sad.
The bleakest of comedies.
Oh, God. The funniest movie where Brendan Gleeson cuts off all his goddamn fingers.
Hilarious. Well, he deserved it. I'm glad he got it.
Yes.
Were there any other people nominated?
There were. Yes, there were two other nominees for the Redeemer Award this year. They were, and I'm really glad this didn't win. Mark Wahlberg for Father Stu. I'm stunned.
What? How did that even get nominated?
I thought for sure it was going to get nominated for actual Razzies.
Right.
Because it's a fucking Mark Wahlberg movie done alongside Mel Gibson in 2023. But no, they were apparently thinking of praising him for that.
Gross.
And the other, which I think is a much more palatable nomination, is Val Kilmer in the Val Netflix documentary.
Okay. I haven't seen it, but...
My understanding is that it is very touching. That it really helps you understand a guy who's been kind of put through the ringer and kind of misunderstood over the course of his career.
I guess there was definitely a point where I would see the name Colin Farrell in a movie and I'm like, I don't want to see this guy.
Oh yeah.
Whereas I don't think I've ever seen a movie with the name Val Kilmer on it. I'm like, I don't want to see this movie because of him.
I can firmly say I've never had that particular sentiment. Yeah.
Not that he's been in some crappy movies, but I've never said it was because of him.
We'll get to the island of Dr. Moreau eventually.
I know we will. I'm not looking forward to it.
I don't know when, but we'll get to it eventually. Yeah, so that's the Redeemer Award. They had not announced any nominees for it with the actual release of their nominations this year. So, I had that prediction that Robert Pattinson was going to get it for his role in the Batman, and they didn't announce shit. So I was surprised to even see they gave it to anybody. This is foreshadowing for another thing that's going to come up later.
Oh, good.
Okay, now on to the actual Razzies themselves. We're going to start with Worst Screenplay. Nominees include Pinocchio, Robert Zemeckis and Chris Weitz, Blonde, Andrew Dominik, Good Morning, Machine Gun Kelly and Maud's son, Jurassic World Dominion, Colin Trevorrow, Emily Carmichael, and I can't see the next name, and Morbius, Matt Sazama, and Burke Sharpless. Do you want to take a crack at who won this?
I'm gonna say Good Morning was fucking horrible.
Yeah, you actually did watch Good Morning along with our good friend Scott McGrath.
He picked it.
Thanks, Scott.
I'm gonna say Blonde.
You're gonna say Blonde won?
Mm-hmm.
You're correct. Blonde won. I watched Blonde.
You did.
And
you bit the bullet.
I bit that bullet for us. I hated that fucking movie. It was so bad. Holy shit. Yeah, deserved. Absolutely deserved victory there. Let's see now. Moving on. Worst director. So we have Daniel Espinosa for Morbius, Robert Zemeckis for Pinocchio, Andrew Dominik for Blonde, Machine Gun Kelly and Maud Sun together for Good Morning, and Judd Apatow for The Bubble, which I think this is the only nomination The Bubble got.
Yeah, I wasn't even aware it was. I remember the trailers for that looked like shit.
It was like a weird green screen COVID movie.
You know what's playing over the end credits of Good Morning?
What?
Outtakes, bloopers.
Of course it is.
That are only funny to the people that were in the movie.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Like a bunch of high school teenagers got together to make a movie, but had a bunch of money. What I'm saying is I've now been able to see what Machine Gun Kelly's directing style looks like, and he absolutely deserves it just for the end credits.
Jack, you're 2 for 2. Is Machine Gun Kelly and Maud Sun for worst director this year? I'm not surprised, honestly. As I've got some feelings about Andrew Dominik after having watched Blonde. I'm fully willing to believe that Machine Gun Kelly and Maud Sun did a way worse job directing than he did.
I forget who I was describing it to as an early 2000s stoner comedy that I would have been trapped watching at like college parties.
Yeah, it's absolutely that kind of thing. Oh, God. Okay. Moving on, we now have worst remake, ripoff, or sequel. Nominees are Pinocchio, Robert Zemeckis. Oh, the double whammy of 365 days this day and the next 365 days. Firestarter, Blonde, and Jurassic World Dominion.
I don't think Blonde should be nominated, but
well, I mean, it is based off of that I'm gonna say a work of fiction by Joyce Carol Oates.
She's one of the authors that have since come out as a bit turfy, isn't she?
No, actually, she's that's the one thing she's not.
Okay.
Yeah, she's weird. She's like weird and regressive about a whole bunch of shit, and then she is not a turf. Like, like just recently has just been like going on to Twitter posting about how trans kids need to be allowed to exist and like be protected and respected.
Okay, you get that 1 point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, even she fucking gets it.
See, I was going to say Pinocchio, but you do have a point. Fuck, I'm going to say Pinocchio.
You're 3 for 3.
Oh, shit. All right.
That is what Pinocchio won. Best or worst prequel, remake, ripoff, or sequel. I kind of want to watch it, just especially since I've seen the Guillermo del Toro one. I want to know how bad Disney did with this.
See, I don't like the animated Pinocchio. It just never quite clicked with me as a kid.
I can see like it drags in some places.
Mm-hmm.
I just watched it again recently, and like it does drag in some places, and it is like weirdly terrifying in some ways. They're just like deeply uncomfortable. But it is like kind of it's a slow, long movie in some ways.
I hated that part of Kingdom Hearts. So weird.
Yeah. Why is Monstro in space in Kingdom Hearts? How the fuck did that happen?
See, I didn't have a problem with that. Why is his guts warpy around?
That's also a good question. What is it with video games on the inside of whales? Because Ocarina of Time, Legend of Zelda does that whole fucking thing where you have to be inside a whale.
We'll do a second unit on it. I still need to see the Del Toro.
Oh my god, you really need to. You'll really.
I know I'm gonna like it.
I'm just going to reiterate this again, because I know I said this last time we talked about it on the show, but the guy that voices SpongeBob voices Mussolini. And Guillermo del Toro has talked about that.
Is it in SpongeBob's voice?
No, it's not.
It is in my
It would
heart.
be really fucking funny if Tom Kenny just like as Mussolini walked up like, oh! That would be hilarious.
Dictators.
Okay, worst on-screen combo. This is where the Razzies did their Razzie things. We have Blonde, which was everyone involved in the White House bedroom sex scene, which, frankly, I kind of get. 365 days this day and the next 365 days, just those as a pair existing.
Oh, the movies as a pair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Razzies.
Good Morning. I think it was just any assemblage of people that were on screen together.
I did like the one character.
And Elvis, Tom Hanks in the like 10 pounds of makeup and prosthetics on his face.
I am impressed that they put out 2 shitty movies in a year. So I personally am giving them a Razzie. I don't think that they won it.
Oh, what, the 365 days, folks?
Yeah.
You're personally giving it to them.
I'm personally giving it to them.
So who do you think won?
I think it was the White House orgy.
This is your first miss.
Oh, no.
It's Tom Hanks. They gave it to Elvis. They gave it to Tom Hanks and his pounds of makeup. Though,
well,
I agree. It should. Oh, I agree insofar that it should have gone to Blonde. Just
yeah.
Oh boy, that fucking movie. Next, we have worst supporting actress. So we have Mira Sorvino for Lamborghini, The Man Behind the Legend. Both Penelope Cruz and Fan Bingbing for The 355. Fan Bingbing also nominated for The King's Daughter.
Okay.
She was she was the mermaid. Lorraine Bracco for Pinocchio and Adria Arjona for Morbius.
I'm going to go with Penelope Cruz and Fan Bingbing.
You think they both won?
Oh, I thought they were both in that movie.
They are both in that movie, yes.
Oh, but they are nominated separately.
They have separate nominations, yeah. Though, I mean, there have been tied nominations or tied victories before. So is that your guess?
No, I'm going to go with Penelope Cruz by herself.
Penelope Cruz by herself. Yeah. Nope. Adria Arjona for Morbius. Morbius did not go empty-handed.
Damn. Okay, I was going to go with that, but I thought they got completely snubbed.
No, they have at least this so far. Next up, we have worst supporting actor. Xavier Samuel for Blonde.
Who does he play? Do you know?
Evan Williams for Blonde. They are the son of Charlie Chaplin and the son of another actor whose name I can't remember off the top of my head.
Gotcha. Okay.
Pete Davidson and Maud Sun also each are nominated separately for Good Morning.
Fucking terrible.
And Tom Hanks for Elvis.
I really hated Pete Davidson in that film. I hated him. But I'm going to go with Tom Hanks.
It was Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
It was absolutely Tom Hanks.
You know how some movies kind of like let their actors do like improv-y jokes?
Yeah.
It felt like they took only the cut improv-y bits for Pete Davidson, and that was the movie.
Jesus Christ, man. That's rough.
Yeah.
That's fucking awful. Technically, it's worst actress next, but I'm gonna do worst actor before I do worst actress. So worst actor, Sylvester Stallone for Samaritan, because they have to pick on Sylvester Stallone. It's just in their blood. Pete Davidson for Marmaduke. Tom Hanks for Pinocchio, Jared Leto for Morbius, and Machine Gun Kelly for Good Morning.
Those are all really good nominations.
It's actually
Pretty good category.
As far as taking terrible performances for a year, yeah, it's a solid crop.
Damn. What was the one after Schwarzenegger? Or not Schwarzenegger, Stallone?
After Stallone, I said Pete Davidson for Marmaduke.
That is hilarious. I'm going to go with Morbius.
It was indeed Michael Morbius.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, Jared Leto absolutely
Good for
won.
him.
Yeah, so that's two. That's two for Morbius. Good Lord. And now, worst actress. Of note, this was a shorter list than what you would normally expect because they removed after the snafu of having nominated 12-year-old actress Ryan Kiera Armstrong for her performance in Firestarter. They rescinded that over public backlash, and rightfully so, because it was a classless, shitty, mean-spirited thing to do. So the nominees we were left with are Diane Keaton for Mac and Rita, Alicia Silverstone for The Rakin, Bryce Dallas Howard for Jurassic World Dominion, and Kaya Scodelario for The King's Daughter.
I'm going to go with Bryce Dallas Howard.
Bryce Dallas Howard. Jack, I'm sorry. This was a trick question.
What?
So you know how I said I was foreshadowing something later? There was something else the Razzies didn't fucking tell anybody who wasn't a voting member.
What?
They didn't keep the list of nominees short for Worst Actress.
What?
They removed Ryan Kiera Armstrong, and they added themselves. So the winner, by a landslide, apparently, for Worst Actress this year
is the Razzies?
The Razzies for their 43rd Worst Actress nominations blunder.
I have mixed feelings.
Tell me about your feelings. I've been waiting to tell you this since yesterday.
It's very Razzie of them.
It is.
It is very in character. So I appreciate that. The Razzies are in general kind of just mean as a base, so
sure.
I do like that they're kind of taking the piss out of themselves.
Yes, I love that about this.
But I have a hard time believing that they're doing anything altruistically.
If they hadn't also changed the rules so that they can't nominate kids anymore,
that's true.
I would agree with you. But I think they're showing actual contrition as insofar as they are capable in this moment.
But did they accept the award?
Actually, yes. There's a video of this actually. We'll watch it in the break between acts so that we can talk about it a little bit. Because I actually have not watched that video yet, so I am also excited.
Fantastic.
They did indeed accept their own award. Okay, Jack, this is the big one. Worst Picture. Okay. The winner that determines how we end this season.
Fuck.
So, the nominees, once more, are Good Morning, Machine Gun Kelly, Maud's son, whoever the fuck else was involved in this. I'm not going to name all these producers. Who am I kidding? The King's Daughter, Blonde, Morbius, and Disney's live-action Pinocchio.
I probably would have leaned with Morbius if I hadn't read that it was snubbed.
Sure. I mean, that was my expectation in our predictions.
Yeah. And it would be nice if it was Good Morning, because I would have already kind of digested that a little bit.
You did bite that bullet, yeah.
I think they went with Blonde.
Jack, they went with Blonde. Blonde. Worst Picture of 2022. And good Lord, is it well deserved?
Is it?
It's so, we mentioned how bewildered we were that this got so many nominations, because this led far and away with the most nominations of any movie at the Razzies this year.
Well, it's baffling because it's Oscar bait.
It's also Oscar bait.
It's been nominated.
And specifically, Ana de Armas got a best actress nomination out of this movie. I will say she's good. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's Oscar good.
Sure.
Especially in a year where, again, there were some fan-fucking-tastic performances, critically and audience lauded by Viola Davis and other, and I'm blanking on the actress from Till.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
The Emmett Till movie, the actress who played Emmett Till's mom. I'm gonna look her name up real quick.
Nate also guessed Morbius.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
They memed themselves into theaters a second time and fucked up harder. How does that not win? In any other year, that's Razzie bait.
Yeah, I'm almost surprised that it didn't win, and that they didn't create some weird Razzie additional category.
Seriously,
like worst movie to go back in theaters twice.
Yeah, it would. I feel like the Stinkers would have done that.
I feel like the Stinkers would have. R.I.P. Stinkers.
R.I.P. Stinkers. Bring back the Stinkers. Danielle Deadweiler is who I'm thinking of from Till. She played Mamie Till Bradley. Yeah, both of those performances were beloved, and they weren't nominated for anything. And yet, again, Ana de Armas is hands down the best thing about this movie.
Right.
It's real bad.
How long did you say it was?
It's almost 3 hours long, which is part of the problem. Like I kept checking the scroll bar on Netflix to see how much time was left, and every single time, even when it was okay, there's only 10 minutes of this left, I'm like, God fucking damn it, how is this not over? Oh my god. Yeah, scenes go on for way too long. The pacing is abysmal. The film is so deeply misogynist that it hurts. And not just in the way of, oh, this is the 50s and 60s, people are shitty to women.
Right.
No, like the directorial like standpoint of it is misogynist. Like Andrew Dominik clearly has some real fucking big mommy issues that come to the forefront throughout this entire goddamn movie.
So why would you direct a Marilyn Monroe film?
I don't know. I cannot fathom it. It's so strange. Also,
can we have like 1 minute of spoilers? Because I have like 2 questions.
Please, yes.
1, how do they, what reason do they give for her death?
She takes some pills and falls asleep.
Do they imply that it's intentional?
Because
she's one of those like Hollywood mystery type.
Yeah. I think they leave that part ambiguous.
Okay. Part 2, sentient demon fetus.
Okay. Yeah. So I had a feeling this is going to be one of your. I'm going to make this quick because we're going to expound upon it further in the finale episode. But yeah, so Marilyn Monroe had some pregnancies in her lifetime. One. The first time she was pregnant, she ended up having an abortion. They dramatized that real hard in this movie as her like on the table, finally realizing, no, I don't want this, and running away and making a big ordeal out of it. And then like dragging her back to the table. I was like, I highly doubt that's how any of that happened. Yeah. Also, abortion was illegal at the time, and they make no mention of any of that. What? None, no fucking mention. So she does not have that baby. She marries Joe DiMaggio, or ex-athlete, as he's listed in the credits. That falls apart because Joe DiMaggio was an abusive shitheel to her. Marries Arthur Miller, or the playwright, as he's credited. Is pregnant in that marriage, and while she's out in their garden, she is just there gardening, and you hear a little voice pop up in her ear saying, "You're not going to hurt me like the last one, are you?"
No.
I swear to fucking God. And they also, every time she's pregnant, they go out of their way to show this like high definition CG render of a fetus. Like up close, like you're in fucking Cosmos. Like as though you're like going over like a planet surface that's been rendered for the Neil deGrasse Tyson Cosmos or something. It's fucking insane.
Have you seen Eraserhead? Because
I have seen Eraserhead. Okay. Yeah, I have seen Eraserhead.
I am not looking forward to watching this movie.
I'm probably going to watch it again. I'm probably also going to read the Joyce Carol Oates book to be ready for this one.
I did think about doing that.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to any of that. Just, oh God, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's so bad.
It would be an excuse to watch some Marilyn films, though, so that'll be nice.
That's a good point. Yeah, it would be an excuse to actually watch some real Marilyn Monroe stuff.
I've never actually watched Some Like It Hot the whole way through.
Good opportunity.
Yeah. She's also done some like noir. So
she has done some noir. They show her in production on a couple of movies throughout the course of this monstrosity, and I think you're seeing like a part of that, and it's when she's like really in like bad mental territory.
Ooh, do they do the Misfits?
I don't know if they got into the Misfits or not.
That was her last film before she died.
They may have started to. Okay. I'm not 100% sure.
I guess I'll find out.
Yeah, you'll find out. Oh my God. So that, ladies and gentlemen, were the 2022 43rd annual Razzie Awards. Jack, how are you feeling?
I think I actually felt worse last year. Because everything we had assumed was wrong.
And literally everything we had assumed was wrong. We got some stuff right this time. And also, the winner's a movie.
The winner is a movie. I do feel better about that.
I feel like we kind of wished on a monkey's paw for that part because it was this movie.
That is true.
But it was a movie, at least.
But like the winners feel right.
Yeah. I don't have any qualms with these choices.
Same.
And for what they did with Worst Actress, that's arguably the classiest thing the Razzies have ever done.
It's still a very low bar.
It's a very low bar. Like the bar was practically on the ground to begin with, but
as I think we're going to see in the second part of this episode,
we're gonna get into it. Yeah, we're definitely gonna get into it. So we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna watch this Razzies acceptance video from the for the Worst Actress category, and we'll be back. Welcome back, everybody. So we just watched the the video of the Razzies winners announcements, and it sure does include them accepting their award.
They do. 1997 Clippy style.
It really is.
Little golden raspberry
with a bow tie.
Yeah.
Giving his little speech. Owning that they fucking earned this, and they acknowledge that the creative process involves trying stuff out and growing and changing and so on and so forth, and hopefully,
right.
Hopefully people will stick around with them until they make their next mistake.
I do want to know if they have stopped doing in-person award shows entirely. I mean, I know that over the pandemic they didn't do any.
Yeah, it kind of seems like it. Like I know they were supposed to do like a big in-person thing in 2020, but then COVID hit as hard as it did.
Yeah.
And, that shut everything down. I don't think they've recovered. And then last year they had the Bruce Willis issue, and this year they had the Ryan Kiera Armstrong issue. Like, I don't know. Maybe if they don't fuck up in the nomination process, they'll actually be able to put together something for real. Now,
we do have something planned for our third season finale that I don't want to talk about yet.
We do. I'm so excited about
really
that.
Excited
we're
about
not going to reveal it yet. Oh my God, you're not even ready.
But I ran it past Scott, and he's also excited.
Hell yes. Okay. Yeah. Nobody else gets to know about this. Just
no.
You were.
But we're still gonna do the Razzies each year.
Yeah. We're still gonna do. Yeah. Like we said in Mac and Me Part 1. Like we're branching out. We're expanding what we can do with this show. We're gonna experiment in ways that you might not see coming, and maybe we don't even see coming yet. But we're still going to also we're going to keep the key conceit of what the show has been going. We're just going to spread some of that out and do some other stuff too.
And with that in mind, I'd love to be able to live stream the Razzies at some point.
Yes, I would very much love to be able to do that. That would be huge. But
what treat do you have for us right now?
Yeah, I mean, treat's a fun word for it, but I mean, this is the fun thing about the Razzies is that we still have all this history that we can delve into. We have here the Razzies' rather unfortunate and persistent history of nominating children for awards. Because Ryan Kiera Armstrong was, of course, not the first child to be nominated for a Razzie. She is the last, thankfully. But there were several others.
Well, we did cover one.
Yeah, so we did cover one of them. I'm not going to start with her, though, because there was actually one before her.
Really?
Yeah, because that was the second Razzie Awards. The first Razzie Awards, Brooke Shields.
How old was she?
14 years old for The Blue Lagoon. Are you familiar with The Blue Lagoon, Jack?
I'm aware of its reputation, but I have not watched it.
So yeah, I haven't seen it either, but I did look into a little bit. So the base idea is that a couple of young cousins, if I'm not mistaken, and their caretaker are stranded on an island. Caretaker dies of alcoholism, and then they have to kind of survive out in the wilderness on their own for a while, and end up fucking eventually,
right.
And kind of living as a family here on this island. And they eventually they try to get off of it, and along with their child that they named after their drunken caretaker who died. And their uncle finds them or something. I don't know. Sure. It sounds like a mess. But Brooke Shields was literally a 14-year-old girl at the time of this this project coming out, or at the time that she was working on this project, and it's a highly sexualized role.
Yeah,
it is a deeply uncomfortable role for a teenager to have to play.
That's what I'm aware of, is that it's deeply inappropriate to have cast an actress of that age for that role.
Yeah, I mean, one of the plot points of the movie, if I'm not mistaken, is her getting her first period, and she's nervous that her cousin's going to find it and think it's a wound. So she's trying to hide it, and it's
neat.
Yeah, neat. So of course she did not do any of the fully nude scenes herself. Yeah. Those were handled by a 32-year-old body double.
Right.
So for audiences, I imagine that was confusing.
I want to watch it, but I don't want to watch it.
Yeah, basically. There were scenes that she did perform topless, but they literally glued her hair to her breasts.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wonder who got that job.
the boob gluer?
The boob gluer. Probably the same person that had to tape Carrie Fisher's breasts together.
Yeah, probably.
Just
I wouldn't be surprised.
Professional boob sticker.
I got pigeonholed into this one job. I keep having to do it. Oh.
That reminds me of not the Carrie Fisher tape boobs. And I might fuck up the name of the movie, but I think it's the girl who lives at the end of the lane or something like that. It's a really, it's when Jodie Foster was like super young.
Okay.
Love the movie. It's fantastic.
Is this before Taxi Driver?
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually might be like, it's right either
like
before or like, yeah. But she has a like sexy scene and she's very clearly underage.
Yeah.
They got her sister who was old enough.
That's still uncomfortable.
It's still weird.
I don't feel good about that.
No.
Ugh, boy.
But they're very similar body types, and people were like, "Why would you make Jodie Foster naked?" And she's like, "I did. It was my sister." Anyways, a fantastic movie.
Neat. Moving on. So second child to be nominated, as we discussed in our Mommy Dearest episode, Mara Hobel. She was 9 years old when she played a young Christina Crawford. So I learned something new about this movie.
Mommy Dearest?
Mommy Dearest. I learned something new that we did not cover because did you know that Rutanya Alda, who played Carol Ann, wrote a tell-all?
I did not.
I just learned this the other day.
God.
She wrote a tell-all about the entire production, and she does mention little Mara Hobel in the midst of this
clusterfuck
book. We'll say book. I
thought we were referring to the movie itself.
Oh, yes, and so when she refers to Hobel in the book, I think it's kind of indicative of the way that children as actors used to be viewed.
Yeah.
At that point in time in the industry, she refers to Hobel as like an adult in miniature, a bleach blonde 45-year-old dwarf. She keeps grilling me. She keeps grilling me to list more of my credits. It's frustrating to be challenged to a pissing contest by anyone, but especially by a 9-year-old.
That reminds me of the little girl in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
See, I still haven't seen that.
There's Leo's character is on like an Old West set with like a young girl,
and she's asking all these questions about people's credits and stuff.
Yeah, because he's kind of like washed up at that point.
Oh, okay. So now, is she doing it from the standpoint of like, oh my god, weren't you in this? Didn't you do this? Was she like impressed, or is she like trying to gauge where he's at so she can show off?
One then the other.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'm curious because in my mind, I think 9-year-old asking a bunch of questions like that. That just sounds like a thing a kid would do. I don't think the kid's intentionally getting into a pissing contest with a grown-ass woman.
9? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it would depend on if you were raised like a normal child or if you were raised by a pageant mom.
That's a fair point. And I don't know that for either way. I don't know what her actual upbringing was or how many credits she actually had under her belt at the time.
Yeah.
I do know that
the Razzies fucked up.
I do know that A, the Razzies fucked up, and B, that wasn't the end of her career by any stretch of the imagination. She kept acting for years and years and years after that. Her most recent credit that I could find was actually in 2008 in M. Night Shyamalan's The Happening.
Oh,
yeah,
sweetie.
Yeah, I know.
But hey, good for her.
But hey, she kept working. Also, they nominated Brooke Shields again, this time age 15, for Endless Love. They nominated the same child twice. 2 consecutive years.
Damn it.
Then they took a break from belittling children.
Right.
But, the 90s, as much as a lot of people have nostalgia for them, they were terrible.
The 90s?
The 90s were pretty terrible in a lot of ways. Especially for our next nominee here. 1995, Macaulay Culkin was 14 years old.
Oh, no.
14 years old. And he was nominated for
My Girl.
3 movies. Oh no, My Girl was younger. My Girl was already in his past at this point, as was Home Alone and everything. No, he was nominated for 3 different movies: Getting Even with Dad, The Pagemaster, and Richie Rich.
Okay, well, he probably deserved for Richie Rich, but he is still a child.
He's still a child, keep in mind. The other thing that's really frustrating with this is that unlike the other 2 nominees, where there were a bunch of other people from these movies nominated for Razzies, Macaulay Culkin's the only person from any of those 3 productions to be nominated for a Razzie.
Huh.
Literally the only one. So Macaulay Culkin has actually said things about having been nominated for Razzies.
Good.
Specifically, when Ryan Kiera Armstrong was nominated, there was a big outcry from a bunch of former child actors. In particular, I remember Drew Barrymore being very outraged, but Macaulay Culkin was amongst them, though he did it a lot more gently. He took to Twitter and he said the following two things I could find. I guess it was much easier to make fun of kids in 1995. And just gently letting them know that their digs at a 14-year-old version of me weren't appreciated. That's it. Calm, measured. Yeah. And
he's gone through some shit.
And it was largely this year, or it was 1995 that gave him the most shit. Like, that critical ringer that he got put through there, that caused him to back away from the movie industry. Like, that put him into early retirement. He didn't come back to do anything, if I'm not mistaken, until 2003 when he was in Party Monster. It's only really been recently that he's been actually jumping back into his career in earnest.
I think he was doing music for a while.
He was doing music for a while. Yeah, that is true. He may still be doing that. I'm not 100% sure. But he has had appearances recently in 2021 on American Horror Story Double Feature, and in a cameo on Some More News, the movie on YouTube, as one of the various alternate universe Cody Johnstons, which I'm pretty sure they literally just like paid for him to do a thing on Cameo.
So they got
his cameo through Cameo. I'm pretty sure, because they also had Mara Wilson as an alternate Cody in that, if I'm not mistaken. Another former child actor.
Look into the legalities of that.
Hey, they agreed to it. They took the money. But he also had a role recently in The Righteous Gemstones as of last year, which is a HBO series. It's very good. You would really enjoy it. About a family that runs a colossal megachurch. John Goodman, Danny McBride, Adam Devine, Walton Goggins. Like, it's fucking great.
Okay,
yeah.
It's a good cast.
If I'm not mistaken, Macaulay Culkin is Walton Goggins' like illegitimate son.
Okay.
Which
I can gotta see that.
I have not seen that season yet. There's only 2 seasons so far, but I'm dying to see that now. I need to jump back into season 2. So while that's all fun, and I'm glad that he's doing a lot better and he's reclaiming his career, there was one more kid to have been nominated for a Razzie, and this one's sad.
Okay, I'm bracing myself.
Well, I think you know who I'm going to talk about. The year was 1999.
I'm like blanking entirely on what movies came out that year.
So when Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace came out, Jake Lloyd was 9 years old.
This one is sad.
I'm hoping that he's doing better, which we'll get into a little bit here. So yeah, Jake Lloyd was 9 years old when he played a young Anakin Skywalker. And the backlash to his performance has been thoroughly fucking documented. Like,
yes.
he suffered so much abuse from the press and from his peers. Like, he is arguably the most berated and harassed Star Wars personality outside of perhaps Ahmed Best for the performance as Jar Jar Binks, and or potentially Kelly Marie Tran for or after The Last Jedi, because she got bullied off of social media and like got so sick of the racist backlash that she actually like changed her name back to her real name, which good for her. And Ahmed Best contemplated suicide over the treatment that he got for voicing Jar Jar. Like, none of that's deserved. Jake had it really fucking bad though.
Because he was a child.
Because he was a literal fucking child. Like George Lucas picked him because he came across as a child and not a child actor.
Okay.
You know, like that's not like,
which I think is true in his performance.
Yeah. I agree. I think that he just feels like an innocent little kid.
Yeah.
So before that, he had I think his biggest role had been in Jingle All the Way.
Was that before?
Yeah, that was 1996. Okay. Yeah, because he was a little bit younger. He would have been 6. So he was like 6 years old in Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sinbad. After this, he only did 2 more roles: Die With Me and Madison, the latter of which didn't actually release until 2005. But after those all finished up in 2001, he retired from acting. He'd never get back in front of a camera again. He'd specifically stated that it was due to a combination of the consistent bullying from his peers and harassment from the press that pushed him to do that. So being a 9-year-old nominated for a Razzie, all the shitty things that critics wrote about him. Surprisingly, he kept going to sci-fi and comic conventions for a while after retiring. Like,
kidding.
Yeah, like there are some pictures of him as a teenager at Star Wars Celebration. Like, he had gone for a while to still participate in a lot of that stuff. And he was actually going to keep going with film. But he wanted to get behind the camera. So I
remember reading that.
He was going to go to school to study film and psychology. He was going to direct a documentary about Tibetan refugees in India, and he was commissioned to shoot a music video or a promotional video for the singer Mallory Lowe that oddly enough stars Daniel Logan, who was the little kid who played young Boba Fett in Attack of the Clones. So that was kind of neat.
Yeah.
That video I think actually did get released. Like, that does exist. Okay. But he ended up dropping out of school after a semester.
Yeah.
And then things really started going downhill for him. March of 2015, police responded to a report that Lloyd had went to his mother's home, berated her, and then physically assaulted her. She did not press charges, specifically because he'd been diagnosed with schizophrenia and he had been off his medications. Yeah. So she did not feel that pressing charges would have been the best thing for her son in that time. June of 2015, Jake Lloyd was arrested after running a red light, turned into a high-speed car chase. So he was then charged with reckless driving, driving without a license, and resisting arrest. Bail was set at $10,700, but he was not released on bail. In fact, he was held in a detention center for 10 months.
The fuck?
10 months until he was eventually transitioned to a psychiatric facility. It was April of 2016 he was transitioned to a psychiatric facility.
Damn.
Yeah, so he was held away from his family, hopefully not away from his doctors or his medication,
right.
But still detained for 10 fucking months as a schizophrenic individual.
Yeah.
Not great. Not great at all. So he was eventually moved to a psychiatric facility. And at that time, in a statement to TMZ, his mom confirmed that their family was committed to getting him more help once he was released from jail. So they were still confident that they wanted to be there for him. They wanted to be a support system. Or at least that's what the case was until his sister unfortunately passed away in her sleep at the age of 26 in 2018. And that was a huge blow for their entire family.
Yeah.
Thankfully, they did, then redouble their efforts and commitment to wanting to get him well. And they did get to have him moved to a facility that was closer to the family. So they're able to visit him and be more of a part of his therapy and his recovery. He did receive a new diagnosis. So he is specifically paranoid schizophrenic with an additional symptom, anosognosia, I think is how it's pronounced. It's basically a lack of awareness of your own symptoms. So not only is he dealing with being paranoid schizophrenic, but he also does not have any kind of personal insight into his own symptoms. Which it's not a super common thing to happen to people, but it can happen across a whole different range of conditions. The article that cites this linked to a paper about anosognosia popping up in Parkinson's patients.
Oh, okay.
So they have the tremors and everything associated with Parkinson's disease, but they have no awareness of it.
So he would not be able to do any kind of cognitive behavioral therapy.
Theoretically, I guess not. I don't know for sure, and neither of us are mental health professionals. I can't really say either way what therapy is going to be helpful in those cases. My understanding is they do have him on medication to help with these things, and again, he does have his family with him and in his corner, fighting for him throughout all of this. So. His mom's most recent statements that she has specifically said that he is still his empathetic, caring self, and they're hopeful that with the treatment that he's receiving, that he'll be back to being his fun, entertaining self as well.
God, I knew that was going to be sad. I didn't know it was going to get that fucking sad.
It's dark.
Man.
It's really dark. I like, and one of the things that makes me the most frustrated with this is that kind of stress and strain and feeling of people ganging up on you from all angles as a child very likely contributed to this happening. Like, I can't say, I can't just say like, no, this is what caused his schizophrenia, but like, whether or not he was going to manifest schizophrenia or whether or not he was going to develop it at a certain point in life or whatever, like this is definitely a contributing factor to how it hit him.
Yeah.
Some of this could have been avoided or at least more navigable, even more easily mitigated, I guess.
Even if he didn't have schizophrenia, he still would have had that trauma.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
God, that's terrible.
It's so bad.
I would have been in the 6th grade when episode 1 came out.
Yeah.
And I was like at the perfect age to be able to enjoy that. Miss the kind of I knew I was aware it wasn't as good as the originals, but I still enjoyed it.
Yeah. Oh, I loved episode 1 whenever it originally came out. I was so psyched about that. I remember watching it over and over again with my cousin and my sister. Like we loved those movies as kids. Like again, not quite as much as the originals, but like they were still in constant rotation. We still went to go see all of them as they were coming out.
They didn't really lose me until like maybe the second one, definitely the third one. But
see, the second one, I was kind of like, I don't know about this. The third one, I did like at the time.
I maybe went to the drive-in to see it with a girl.
Okay.
And had other things on my mind.
Yeah, see, I was not cool, so I did not do that.
Yeah, it was a weird, like, senior year. I was the new meat.
Oh.
So, because I moved my senior year of high school to a smaller high school. And they're like, we've all known each other since kindergarten. You're new here. That's my story.
Yep.
Also, I thought General Grievous was stupid.
Yeah, kind of. I think if you had watched the Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars, then like you knew a little bit more about him.
Is that how you say his name?
Genndy Tartakovsky.
Man, I've said that. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, one last point I want to make to wrap all of this up, because this is still specific to Lloyd, but I think it's a really useful thing to keep in mind for literally any child actor. In 2017, Mark Hamill publicly voiced his frustration with the treatment that Jake Lloyd received.
Yeah.
He said, "I couldn't believe some of the things they wrote about the prequels, you know. I mean, like, really, beyond I didn't like it. Like, I'm still angry about the way they treated Jake Lloyd. He was only 10 years old, that boy, and he did exactly what George wanted him to do. Believe me, I understand clunky dialogue."
Yeah.
So that line, he did exactly what George wanted him to do. He's a child following directions from the adults around him, doing his best to make what the director is telling him to do come to life on film. That is a tall fucking order for any kid. For some actors, that's a tall fucking order. Right. But like, he was 9.
I think people sometimes forget that the actors usually, most of the time, 99.9% of the time, are not writing their own fucking dialogue.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's what we need to remember whenever we're looking at the performance of kids on screen. It's like they're saying and doing things that adults are telling them to say or do.
Yeah.
They very likely don't have a grasp on what the full script is, on what the full story is. They're not like
a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, they're not like Stanislavski trained actors for God's sake. Like, they're children. Like,
God, that makes me want to puke.
Yeah.
Well,
so bravo to the Razzies for realizing how fucking wrong you were to do the thing that you did, and to make it so that you'll never do this to another child again.
And, you know, if you're a nerd, maybe chill out a little bit.
Yeah, especially you Star Wars fans. Like, calm down. It's not that serious. Leave these people alone, especially these children.
Listen, I've been a nerd for as long as I could read. And there's been plenty of bad stories for characters that I enjoy.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I have a document on my phone that's my own personal headcanon for Star Wars.
You have mentioned this before,
I do.
Yes.
I've expanded upon it since playing Fallen Order because that's got to be on there
because it's real good.
It's really good.
It's really fucking good.
And you know what I do with the movies I don't like? They just don't exist in my head,
and that's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine.
It's
you don't. That's like you don't need to try to crowdfund money to reshoot The Last Jedi. You don't need to berate children at conventions or online or in reviews or whatever. Like, you don't need to do any of that toxic shit. You can just say that, like, I didn't like that for this reason, and then let it go.
I think it was a very old episode of, like, Fat Man on Batman, which I've not listened to in years.
It's been a minute, yeah.
Where he was talking to the then Batman writer, Scott Snyder.
Yeah.
Or had talked to him. And Scott Snyder basically redid year one of Batman, which is like sacred material.
Yeah.
And even he was like, just headcanon it, man. Like, Batman's been around since the 30s. There's been some stupid stories. There will be stupid stories.
Sure.
It's fiction.
It's fiction, and he has a villain in his rogues gallery named Calendar Man who exists.
Calendar Man.
Yeah. I also am fond of Calendar Man. He's very silly. He's a very silly idea.
If we're going to go with silly villains, let's go with Condiment King.
Okay, Condiment King, fair. That is objectively sillier.
Yes, yeah. It's all fiction.
It's all fiction.
You don't need to ruin a real person's life.
Yeah, exactly. If you love something and you feel strongly about it, yes, I get that. That does not give you license to, like, lash out at other people who you don't fucking know and who are trying their best.
God, now I want to write, like, a letter to Jake Lloyd, like, hey, man, I hope you're doing okay.
Like, the fucking planet owes that man an apology.
Yeah,
he's only 2 years younger than me.
It's
like
gross.
Yeah.
It's gross. Enjoyed you in Jingle All the Way.
I did enjoy him in Jingle All the Way.
It was a stupid movie.
It was a stupid movie.
But I enjoyed it nonetheless.
It was a stupid movie that I really liked as a kid.
Yeah. I think there's like a subplot about like somebody mailing bombs in the mail, which wouldn't play well today.
Yeah, though there's definitely a mail bomb joke.
Anyway. We've gone some places today.
We sure have. Whew. Oh, man.
Man, I cannot wait for our next episode, partly because I need to get it out of my head. Yeah. I see buttholes everywhere I look.
Oh my god! Yeah. So the next episode. Well, we still have to release our.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. We our Terry Gilliam episode will come out after this, and then our treatment of Caligula featuring Antonio Palacios from the Cultworthy podcast will be coming out in April.
If you've never watched Caligula, the movie from 1979, there are multiple versions of it. The hardest one to find and the most infamous is the uncut movie. It's containing many pornographic scenes.
Yep, I still have to watch it. I am both terrified and excited. Jack's still having some like shell shock from this.
So, God, I'm so happy I get to do this. So there's this Grant Morrison book.
You haven't brought up Grant Morrison.
Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a little while. Called The Filth, and
oh god,
in order to write it, it's a 12-issue maxi series. He researched all form of vile smut, all form of legal vile smut.
Sure.
To just drench himself, kind of saturate himself in that world, so he could write this book, and. To date, it's still their proudest story, according to them.
Really?
Yeah. I don't get it. I mean, I've read it. I need to reread it now as an adult who's, I don't know, more jaded, less easily scandalized. But
sure.
That's kind of what I feel like researching Caligula right now.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Because like the real Caligula was also vile and disgusting.
Sure. Literally the only thing I know about him are like the depraved orgies and whatnot that he's known for throughout history, and also that Venture Brothers episode where he was storing something within his ass, and
yeah, that tracks.
Yeah.
Anyway, look forward to that.
Oh God, Jack, how are you feeling?
terrible.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that we had to end this one on such a downer, but like there was no avoiding talking about Jake Lloyd and
absolutely
ending on Jake Lloyd.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see where the career of Ryan Kiera Armstrong goes, and I hope for good things for any child actors out there.
All former and current.
Former and current, yes.
Woof. Hey. Did you enjoy this episode? You should listen to some of our other stuff. Joe, where can they find those other...
Yeah, you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Please rate and review our shows wherever you listen to help get us into more people's ear holes. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, wherever you can possibly rate and review podcasts. We're likely there. You can also reach out to us on social media and follow us on Twitter at DeRazzledPod, on Facebook at DeRazzledPodcast, on Instagram and TikTok at DeRazzled_podcast. And of course, if you have any suggestions for things you'd like to see us cover in season 3, send them our way to DeRazzledPodcast@gmail.com. You can also let us know if there's any merch you would like to see pop up in our Redbubble merch store. So yeah, feel free to do any and all of that, please and thank you.
I recently found a list of, like a really well compiled list of the worst movies ever.
Oh, good.
And we've covered a number of them without knowing it.
Oh, great. I'm not surprised.
Neither am I. Some of them are also Razzie winners, so there's some crossover.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't have to only be a Razzie movie. If you want to suggest,
if there's something, if there's a bad movie out there that was not touched by the Razzies and is like, a cult favorite or a so good it's bad thing you want to see us delve into, we'll do that. We've already done that a few times.
Yeah.
So yeah, send it our way.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you everybody for joining us. Be sure to check in next time. As always, we will be sure to razzle dazzle you.